Talking about this hunting field when Bush and Clinton were present. Can you tell me more particular where was happened, which plant you're talking about, and what you detailed? How you can detail that?
Well, this was this most dangerous game, as they referred to it, was a matter of human hunting. And when a mind control slave such as myself was stripped of clothes and turned loose in the woods, I was then hunted by George Bush, Dick Cheney, and Bill Clinton, among others. But they were the main ones. I do not believe that it was necessary for them to have subjected me to this form of trauma. There were so many other traumas going on at the time. My mind was already prime conditioned for mind control program. So I really don't understand it, except for the fact that they found great pleasure in this form of human hunting. And they took it from particular military maneuvers. And
which base we're talking about when you was recalling the situation when Clinton was present and Mr. Bush? Which airspace?
There's a little place called Lampe, Missouri, that's just across the Arkansas line. Bill Clinton was governor of Arkansas at that time, and his whole cocaine operation that was Mena, Arkansas was the main hub for, was bringing cocaine into this CIA compound. And this particular Swiss villa, as they called it, amphitheater, in Lampe, Missouri, was actually a CIA compound out in the woods, military fencing all around it, and mind control training center where there was high-tech equipment was in one building. There were offices in another. There were little Swiss-style villas or cabins where different officials in either the military, CIA, or politics would stay, and it would house them while they
from Sydney airport I was put in a crate like an animal and lightly gassed, and I was put in a cargo plane and I was flown over to California, and then I was taken up to Bohemian Grove. Now, at Bohemian Grove, the first thing I saw was men. Now, everybody must know that Bohemian Grove is just a big pedophile, satanic ritual abuse orgy. That's all it is. It's a big party. You've seen footage by Alex Jones where they say, oh, it's just burning an effigy of a human to Moloch. Well, politicians, world leaders, dressing up in robes and pretending to sacrifice a human being to a statue of Moloch now, that's weird. That has to be questioned. And you've got evidence of that. You've got video evidence of that. So, but what I did was I was taken over there, and first thing I saw was a bunch of guys in like black Ku Klux Klan style robes, and they murdered someone. They had someone hung up, and they murdered someone. And then I remember a few other things. There was a teddy bear. We were dressed as teddy bears and put in the forest and in dark, and they did this hunting rape game, which they love. They love these hunting games, like Hunger Games. And us kids were dressed up. Well, they couldn't find me because I was really good at hiding. So they didn't find me for ages. But the other kids they found and raped. And they had, that music, if you go down in the woods today, da-da-da, and that the Teddy Bears Picnic music was playing on loudspeakers really creepily in the dark, and we were told, run and hide, And then the other thing I remember is being taken into a pink bubble room over there. And in the pink bubble room, it was all like pink bubbles, pink plush carpet, pink blow-up furniture, and I was dressed as Candy Girl and dressed in pink and like Shirley Temple and with, ribbons in the hair and all these patent sort of pink shoes and everything. And in there was none other than, your famous preacher, Billy Graham. And see, Billy Graham was very good friends with Richard Nixon. And anyway, he gave me a drink, a pink drink, and it made me, drowsy. And then obviously he likes to rape children when they're knocked out. So what he did say to me was, Richard told me you know, Richard's a good friend of mine, and he told me all about you, and you're a good girl, and you like to please men and all this sort of thing, and then he assaulted me. So that's Billy Graham, not a Christian, folks. And he's actually, as far as I know, he's very high up in Freemasonry, I've been told. But that's what happened to me. And then the next thing I remember is being at Disneyland. And see, Walt Disney was a pedo. And that's why people like Michael Jackson built Neverland and copied, you know, the Disneyland theme park. And that's why people like Britney Spears and the Mouseketeers just went nuts. So I was taken to Disneyland, and it was terrible. I remember being drugged and hypnotised and assaulted, and, you know, they had what they do is close the park after dark and have pedophile parties there with all the elite. And
yeah, so at the hunting parties, they would they'd have all these expendable children outside in the woods, and usually they have holding grounds, like a tunnel system or something underground where they hold the kids in cages until the time of the hunt. And the hunt usually happens later, you know, once it's dark outside. And so what they'll do is they kind of they'll kind of make a perimeter, which is pretty large, of these woods, and they'll station the different elite people around the perimeter. And then when they give the go, you know, they release the kids, and the kids are told just to run, to hide. And that's when the elite will go through the woods and start hunting for them. When they catch them, a lot of times they will first sexually abuse them, and then they'll kill them. So not everybody will get killed in that situation. If they don't, then they're used for other hunts. But, you know, there were kids that I saw who, you know, were really good survivors, and they would just continuously have to relive this trauma, you know. So there was kind of like, so those were the kids on the outside, and then because we were hierarchy kids, we were on the inside. And so on the inside, usually in the house or the lodge, you would have the older men who were too old. Sometimes it did include women, but they were too old to be out in the woods hunting for the kids. So they brought everything indoors for those individuals. And those individuals were not allowed to kill, but they were allowed to capture and rape the hierarchy children. So, you know, once the signal was given that the hunt was on, you know, you were just trying to escape, hide, and not be found. And sometimes they would make it seem, you know, for the kids like it was a hide and seek game. You know, so unless you got caught, you really didn't know what happened. You know, we found out because the one time we were at the lodge, and we had grabbed the youngest Rothschild, and we had gone upstairs, and there was like a laundry chute, and that's where we were trying to get to, was to kind of be in that chute and try to get our way downstairs to the basement and stuff. But we didn't make it that far. We had, I'll just say, Jacob Rothschild, we found, was already up there, and we heard he was pulling one of the kids with him. And so we just like snuck into the first room that we could find, and there was this huge wardrobe in there. And so we got in that wardrobe, and we picked the wrong room because that was the room he pulled the child into. And, you know, so a lot of these older gentlemen, it's not just for sexual pleasure that they rape these children. They do it for sex magic. So he started to do the magic spells and incantations with this child, and was telling the child to do his part of the incantations. And I got really, really mad. So I guess it probably was my nonverbal language, because we weren't saying anything, we were trying not to move, but I started to kind of like like be looking out the crack of the wardrobe, and all of a sudden I just feel this hand come around me and pull me back, and it was my training partner. And it was like, when he did stuff like that, it was like, if you move or say a word, I'm gonna kill you. Like, that's what I knew he was thinking. And he had seen, the little guy was really, really scared about what was happening, and he was trying to keep him from crying, so we watched that whole thing. And so that's how we kind of became privy to what was going on behind some of the scenes. And then after that incident, there were several other incidences we saw. So that was, most of it was just trying to survive through that, and not, the one time when my training partner did, like we said something, and they hauled him out to an old well, and they dropped him in that, and he was down there for a couple hours. And we'd call those the wells, or the deep holes, we would just call the pits. And that was a form of punishment, where they would, throw you down there, and you were just down there cold and sometimes wet. Sometimes there were strange creatures down there. So there were times you had to fight to survive, and you couldn't see what you were fighting. It was pitch dark. So, that was one of their favorite forms of punishment for us. Sometimes they would stick us in rooms with, adults who had weapons, and it was either they survived or we survived. So it was like they put us in this automatic combat situation, where we had to make a choice to, take life or to live, or to die, I should say. So that was pretty difficult, but that's what.
How old were you when this was going on, that you're talking about now?
That particular one, I was probably, 5 going on 6. So that was like one of the first. That was in 1982. So I think I was about 5.
Wow.
Yeah.